Hi guys, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another session. This one is a very different one, often requested. हम कर नहीं पाए because हमारे पास time नहीं था, बाकी चीज़ों में लगे हुए थे. But I think this one is really important for the youth of Pakistan, and this is something that I've been personally invested in as well. It's something great. It's a great opportunity for people to move abroad, experience a different corporate culture, experience a different lifestyle, get some skills, and possibly come back as well to contribute to Pakistan's economy. So this is about the express entry of to get the Canadian PR. And a lot of us already know about it because ये 4-5 साल से चल रहा है. But honestly, मेरी भी इस पर बहुत research है, but अभी भी मुझे बहुत नई चीज़ें पता चलती रहती हैं. Like, okay, what are the techniques on how we can improve our score, or even if we get the score, then how we don't mess up our process with the application, with the references, कितना टाइमलाइन होता है, किसको अप्रोच करना होता है, किस तरीके से प्रोसेस क्या होता है, ऑनलाइन टोटल कॉस्ट क्या होती है, वहाँ जाके क्या सिचुएशन होती है, हाउ टू अप्लाई फॉर जॉब्स, how to ensure that you get settled over there. So these are some things that we don't know specifically. We know हम लोगों से opinion लेते रहते हैं. So fortunately, just 1 second. Yeah, so fortunately, I have a friend, a dear friend, an old friend, Aziz Hussain, who got his PR through Express Entry, and we studied in LUMS together. And he knows inside out about the process because um, he applied, I think, a couple of years back, and जितना ही process था, score कैसे लाना है. He has done his bachelor's, he's done his master's, but even after that, he had to go. He went through the struggle, and I don't think इससे अच्छा कोई explain कर सकता है. I know there are a lot of consultants who charge probably, but I wanted to do the sessions that people have this information, और उनको कभी भी ये issue ना हो कि यार हमारे पास complete information नहीं. And you can do all of this yourself as well. You don't need to hire a consultant. You can do all of this yourself. So without further ado, so just a small intro about Aziz. So we were batchmates in LUMS. He did wonderfully in LUMS. He did a BSc in anthropology. After that, he went to UK to do his master's in Muslim civilization, and he was a dean's honor list over there. And post that, he applied for his PR and is in Vancouver right now, Canada. So I'll just get him on screen. Hi Aziz, how are you?
Hi Omar, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you, yeah. Thank you so much for taking out time.
Of
I
course,
hope
man.
everything is good there. How's the weather there?
It's been constantly raining for the past 4 or 5 days. It's officially winters यहाँ पे.
Floods तो नहीं आ रहे होंगे ना वहाँ जितना कराची में आते हैं?
Yeah, there's no flooding. That's the only difference.
Thank God.
Yeah.
God. So yeah, Aziz. So we have a live audience as well. So हमारा सीन सिंपल है. हमें बताओ कि हम कैसे अप्लाई करके और सही तरीके से वहाँ मौजूद. सबको पता है कि कैनेडियन पीआर एग्जिस्ट करती है, बट सबको ये एक्सप्रेस एंट्री का आई थिंक प्रोविंशियल नॉमिनेशन का भी कुछ होता है, विच विल टॉक अबाउट later as well. So if I want to start with, so what are the requirements for express entry, if I can say?
I think if I have to summarize, there's 3 main requirements, right? Pehla to work experience hota hai tumhara. Second is the IELTS requirement, the English language testing, and the third is like your age, and then the education. So yeah, there's like 4. So firstly, you have to, like, if you want to kickstart the process, the first thing you want to do is start preparing for your IELTS. You have to, I think the minimum requirement is to score like a band of 6 in each one of the sections, like the reading, writing, and the listening parts of the test. Once you have that, basically you qualify to actually make an application on the for the something called, you have to get an invitation initially. So that's the IELTS bit. In terms from the point of view of the experience, you need to have at least a minimum of 1 year of experience. एक किसी job में, like it needs to be strictly in one particular segment, और 1 साल experience होना चाहिए. And I think age limit is something about like 24, ऐसा कुछ है, 24 years से लेके 35 तक है, if I'm not wrong. When I was
Okay.
applying, I think that was the age. And it's better if you are between like I think 30 se pehle karo ya I don't know about the points जो decrease होते हो like in the earlier you do it you get the maximum points for the age. उसका कोई
Okay.
scene होता है क्योंकि Canadian population is aging so they want young people coming in because eventually
Okay.
यहाँ पे सारे बुढ़े हो गए हैं so like you know they need to fill that gap so that's why they want young individuals coming into the country. So that's okay. So we got your work experience, your IELTS. उसके अलावा yeah, literally, and your degrees, obviously. Yeah. So your degrees count for the points as well. So at least express entry के लिए undergrad degree तो चाहिए होती है. It's preferable if you have like a 4-year degree because अगर 2 साल का equivalence जो BA type होता है वहाँ पे हमारे यहाँ पे I don't think that will be equivalent to an undergrad degree here. So that might be an issue. So you need to make sure that either you have a 4-year undergrad degree or if you have a 2-year undergrad like a BA or a BS, and then you do like another master's, so that will be an equivalent of an undergrad to a Canadian degree. So ये चार चीजें होती है basically, and
4-year bachelor's is important.
yeah, 4-year bachelor's is important. So that basically makes you fundamentally eligible to start your process. And once you feel like you have 4-year का undergrad तुम्हारे पास है, तुम्हारे पास IELTS, you feel like you can easily get like 6 and above in all, and you have at least 1 year of experience, then you can start thinking about applying. And at that point, you want to start with your IELTS सबसे पहले, because in order to एक चीज करनी होती है, like obviously you've done your research as well, you're aware, जाके अपनी प्रोफाइल बनानी होती है. प्रोफाइल बनाने के लिए टाइम पे आपको IELTS स्कोर और आपके जो डिग्रीज होते हैं जो आपने पाकिस्तान में या जहाँ से भी किया हो उसकी एक हम लोग कहते हैं ना इक्विवेलेंसी चाहिए होती है, वो आपने कनाडा से मंगवानी होती है. So these are the two things that take the longest time before even you make your profile. So you want to start with IELTS दे दो पहले, IELTS का स्कोर आ गया, and at that point you want to send in your उसका एक अलग process होता है, and you can jump into that later on. You send it here, you get your equivalency, basically एक 1-page certificate होता है which tells you कि आपकी degree is equal to a Canadian undergrad or a master's जो भी है. And then you can go on and make your profile online on their website, which is a pretty straightforward process. If you want details, we can get into that. So yeah, that's basically like a summary of the 4 basic things. Basically IELTS, your work experience, age limit within a certain bracket, you need to be there, and a 4-year undergrad degree.
Okay. And this equivalency, this is something that we can apply online, or we have to like post it, or how does it happen?
You can apply it online. There's 4 different, I think, उनकी website पे when you go, they accept it. एक West जिसको बोलते हैं, I think World Education Services. There's another one is IQAS. I personally did IQAS at that point. West का थोड़ा process, it was a bit, for me personally, I found it like a bit burdensome and complicated in the sense that you had to go to HEC, get your documents attested, and then उसकी copies उधर भिजवा दो. So it was a bit, IQAS was simple. IQS में ऐसा था कि basically you make an application online. पहले application बनानी होती है. That's where you pay your fee. It was about 220 Canadian dollars when I did it. And if you want to get it shipped back to Pakistan, it's another like $50. So 270, 273, something like that. But I had friends here. You actually do not necessarily need the hard copy. So what I did is I didn't even get it shipped to Pakistan. I just got it shipped here because वो email में भी आ जाती है. So I literally used that email eventually to submit it. You just need that. Just a tip to like save another $50. You don't actually need it shipped back to your country. IQS में ये होता है, you go online, make an application. उस application में mention करना होती है अपनी degrees. अच्छा मैंने undergrad किया 4-year इस चीज़ में इधर से. Like they'll ask you for the details. You put that in, you pay your fee, done. So then they'll let you download like a small 1-pager document. Basically वो उसलिए होता है कि उस page को आप ले जाते हो. Let's just say you just have an undergrad. So basically I went to LUMS and I told them, okay, I need my transcripts. Official, sealed जो होती हैं. You need your official transcript. Degree नहीं चाहिए होती IQS के लिए. Transcript चाहिए होती है undergrad की. You basically get your transcript. You ask the admin to put that application. जो एक page का जो download किया होगा तुमने before when you made the application for the IQS. They put that 1-pager document with your sealed and transcript, and they need to send it directly to IQS. Or West का भी यही होता है in terms of sending the transcript. They send it to the IQAS, your West होता है, and then once they send it and then they receive it, you get an email कि हमें तुम्हारे documents मिल गए. and then from there onwards, it's usually a 2-3 महीने जो भी, depending on how busy they are. मेरा I think 2.5 महीने लगाए थे उन्होंने. They took the longest time.
2 months
2 months,
approximately.
yeah, 2.5
2 and
months. I had a friend, for example, recently just got 20 days में आ गया था. So I don't know. It took me 2 months, but it really. So you just want to keep 2 months just to be on the safe side. And yeah, so that's sort of like the process. So you just got to make sure कि official transcripts चाहिए होती है यूनिवर्सिटी से. अगर वेस्ट के थ्रू कर रहे हो तो जाके जो ट्रांसक्रिप्ट्स होती है उनको ऑफिशियली फिर HEC के ऑफिस में जाके उनको सर्टिफाइड अटेस्ट करवाना होता है, what they call it. So you need to do
वो
that.
ख्वारी अलग है.
वो ख्वारी अलग है. I didn't want to do that at that point. तो मैंने कर ली, लेकिन जब मेरा इनविटेशन आ गई IQS के थ्रू, जब मुझे इनवाइट आ गई अप्लाई करने के लिए PR के लिए, I had to do that anyway.
Okay.
So I just wanted to quickly make my application profile जल्दी बना दूं, तो उस चक्कर में मैंने वेस्ट में नहीं किया था. It looked easier. IQS मैंने कर लिया, लेकिन बाद में जब आप प्रॉपर अपनी एप्लीकेशन सबमिट कर रहे होगे PR के लिए, तब चाहिए होगी फिर भी in any case.
Oh, so in a way you're saying कि वेस्ट से थोड़ी सी ख्वारी करके पहले कर लो.
कर लो.
Anyways,
हाँ, उसमें ख्वारी करके कर लो in any case. And I think IQS is less expensive than West also. I think West, do you know how much it is? I don't know what. IQS is like say
West is
$200.
$250 ऐसा ही है.
Same है. फिर तो same है. Yeah.
34. ठीक है. So you mentioned the 4 basic requirements. So IELTS score, if I delve into it, so IELTS score कितना would you recommend? Because अभी questions भी लोग पूछ रहे हैं. So people who are asking questions, I'll take them in the end.
Okay.
अभी वो पूरा चल रहा है. So but IELTS score अगर मैं बोलूँ, so I've personally given IELTS as well. तो मुझे हमेशा इशू जिस तरह आई थिंक बैंड होता है till 9 and then you have to score. सब बोलते हैं 9 लाना है या 8.5 लाना है या 8 लाना है, कितना लाना है? बिकॉज यूनिवर्सिटी जब अप्लाई करते थे तब तो एक डिफरेंट रिक्वायरमेंट होती थी. आई एम श्योर दिस इज डिफरेंट.
Yeah. Okay, so इसमें मैंने, as I said it initially, right? Basic requirement I think 6 का है, 6.5 in all sections. That makes you eligible. But obviously let's get real. अभी 6.5 से आपको invitation कभी नहीं आएगा. अभी जिस तरह के point scores जा रहे हैं जो cut off, I think it hasn't come down from 470 since the time I applied. मेरे time में I think it was 472 cut off, and अभी बस 469 हुआ है उसके बाद, and then it hasn't been like moved since then, right? But let's just say the maximum points that you can get on an IELTS is if you get well, different bands के हिसाब से. It's not like you need to get 9, then you get full points. You need to get I think listening का सबसे ज़्यादा उनका होता है. Listening का you get 8.5. If you get 8.5 in listening, and then you get 7.5 in everything else, you get the maximum points.
Okay.
That is required. Then उसके नीचे वाला फिर आता है listening में आप you get 8, and then you get 7.5 in everything else, you get the second highest band. That's really what you want to aim for. You want to aim for कि listening का I think उनका हमेशा 0.5 ज़्यादा है to get the maximum points. So you want to focus a lot on your listening, because no matter, even if you get let's just say art 8, everything else listening at 7.5 आ गई, then you're back to the second band. So that's how it usually works. So basically focus उस चीज़ पे करना है. And I remember I recently having a conversation with you. IELTS is more about a lot of people, like some people may struggle with it, some people may not struggle with it, but people who think like उनकी English अच्छी है, हो जाएगा, उनके भी scores कम आते हैं कभी कभार. So what you need to understand is, and I was telling one of my friends recently, you need to treat this as like a CSS exam. They have like a formula, for instance. And Umar, I was discussing it with you, right? I had to take an IELTS before I went for my master's in the UK. And that was like an academic one, IELTS. So there's 2 different types, right? Okay, one more thing actually. For the express entry, for those of you who don't know, you need to take the general training one. जो कि थोड़ा I would say simple होता है, less academic, reading sections थोड़े easy होते हैं, writing भी थोड़ा easy होता है, that kind of stuff. When I took my IELTS, जब मैं UK की मास्टर्स करने जा रहा था, मेरा स्कोर ज़्यादा आया था compared to when I did it to do my express entry. So the point I'm trying to say is, I think speaking में especially कम आए थे, ironically. I think I spoke really fast. I don't know क्या होगा. So when you go there to speak, and it's a process, and you want to do a little bit of practice test, because you want to be in that flow. And when you go for your speaking exam, I think they express like robotic answers, like, you need to be very academic, or I tried to have like an open, fluent conversation. I don't think the examiner liked it very much. and she marked me down. So I had like an 8.5 before spending 2 years in London, and then I had a 7.5 after spending 2 years. So that
अच्छा.
was funny. I hope I answered that question. It's clear. If you
Yeah.
have any questions, yeah.
Yeah. So IELTS का I think कुछ लोगों ने question भी किया हुआ है in detail, so we'll go to that. But the
Okay.
main point is which Aziz is trying to make. कि IELTS में एक तो general and academic, the two different ones. We have to take general if you're applying for the immigration through express entry, and in that the listening part is more important. But obviously when you're giving it, you focus on getting the highest. You focus on being in the higher band in the four sections: listening, reading, writing, and what was the
Speaking,
fourth one?
speaking.
Speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. और उसका भी फॉर्मूला है, इसका ज़रूरी नहीं है that if you watch videos for example on YouTube or whatever that you'll get the highest points. Obviously कुछ लोग generally अच्छे होते हैं टेस्ट देने में या in these sort of tests, but mostly I think Aziz was also telling me earlier कि इसकी जो भी books होती हैं I think Barron की होती है and
Pick up any one book.
pick up any one book
One book. कहीं से भी.
और उसके टेस्ट आप करें एटलीस्ट 3 to 4 टेस्ट फुल फ्लेजेड एंड सी वेयर यू आर बिकॉज अगर आपका किसी में भी कम आता है 0.5 तो आपका स्कोर गिरता है एंड अगर आप गूगल पे जाके लिखें एक्सप्रेस एंट्री एलिजिबिलिटी कनाडा तो आपको आ जाएगा उनका कैलकुलेटर सो यू कैन सी कि वेयर डू यू स्टैंड राइट नाउ एंड इफ यू आर गिवन योर आइल्स सो आपका स्कोर अभी किधर स्टैंड करता है बट वील गेट टू दैट
And
अच्छा
about the
या
speaking, sorry, I'm cutting you. Speaking में यार, it's very a lot of people who I think generally उनको थोड़ा speaking से ज़्यादा they freak out. What I've learned, I've done it twice, general और वो वाला. पहले 5 मिनट में तो they ask you, Umar, you've taken IELTS, right? वो properly like strictly they ask you the similar questions. And if you do that book, you already know what they're gonna ask you about. They're like, okay, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your neighborhood you live in. So these are literally the questions you can just like prepare in advance. The only thing you might have to like off the hook, like वहाँ पे जाके impromptu करना होगा is like when they give you a topic and they ask you to talk about it for like 3 minutes. वो एक चीज है जिसमें you have to like come up with stuff at the spot, but everything else you can prepare for. That's what I mean. Like people who feel like IELTS is a big stumbling block, you can easily prepare for it.
And if you guys want tuitions for IELTS, Aziz is here. Achha. So, okay. So next question, how to maximize the points? Like, what if you don't have enough points? So I think जो लोगों को मैं थोड़ा explain कर दूं कि 4 जब आप ये सब चीज़ें अपनी डालते हैं तो you are almost between I think 390 to 470 ऐसा ही कुछ score आपका आ रहा होगा mostly लोगों का. So let's say I get 410. How do I increase it? Because you were mentioning कि 470 cut off चल रहा है बहुत अरसे से. So
yeah. So it would really depend, right? Let's just say it's on a case by case basis, right? Like for instance, just say तुम्हारा 410 है अभी. Thus we find out कि तुम्हारा IELTS तुमने 6 score किया हुआ है हर एक में.
एक तो IELTS
you take the IELTS again, increase your points. Let's just say another thing you can do is you have undergrad, you can do a master's. Master's adds another 100 points, I think, something like that. Like kuch hai, like master's, because for instance, like my friends who had the application with undergrad lums ke hamare jo the, but I had a master's. They had 440 and I had 470, 75 or something like that. 30 points increase ho gaye the master's ki wajah se. I think roughly I would say it was about 30-point difference. So you can do a master's and you can do a 1-year master's. It doesn't matter. I think it will still be equivalent if you do it from a decent university. So I think in the long range of your career, एक साल का एक master's करना, it's still a smart decision. एक साल में इतना कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ जाएगा. You can do a master's. Let's just say that will add at least 30 points. Lastly, एक और चीज़ है कि अगर let's just say आपके पास सिर्फ एक साल का experience है, so minimum एक साल का है. And then, but if you have 3 years of experience, that adds another 30 points, something like that to your point score. So, but I just want to stress that if you have 1 year experience or 2 years of experience or 2 years and 11 months of experience, it does not matter. एक साल वाले का और 2 साल और 11 महीने वाले का points same होंगे from the point of view of the experience. You need to have more than a minimum of 3 years. So it's very technical. अगर वो एक दिन भी नीचे आ रहा है आपके and they will make sure when they finally read your application कि आपके पास exactly at least a minimum of 3 years है if you have claimed that you have 3 years. So it can't be like 2 साल 11 महीने or 29 days. I have heard of people who've been rejected because they say, okay, you don't have enough points because you don't have a minimum of 3 years जो आपने claim किया था जब आपने अपनी profile बनाई थी. So these are some of the things that you can do.
Okay.
So after work experience बढ़ा सकते हो, you can do another degree. But if you already have a master's degree and if you want to do another degree, that won't add points to you.
Okay.
Master's कर लो, that's the maximum where you can go.
And masters from any recognized university जो इनके application जो accept करती है. Not necessarily like UK से करो या US से करो या
It doesn't matter. Pakistan से कहीं से करो, like Punjab University से करो, Qaid-e-Azam से करो. Like you can sit at home and also like people do like distance learning. I think those are the things that are still eligible. They consider legit.
Okay. And
HEC are recognized. All the universities in our country that are recognized by HEC, I think they're safe to do a master's from for increasing your points.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to see which universities are recognized, so आप again Google पे जाके लिखें
HEC.
और आपको
Look at the list of HEC recognized.
Yeah. HEC recognized जो भी universities हैं, those universities will be. It doesn't matter कि उसकी ranking क्या है, it doesn't matter किस country से क्या है, as long as recognized. So okay, great. And also one more thing. So people say कि यार, if I get married, so I'll have more points. Is that like?
That's your plan, Omar? I'm just kidding.
Get married to a Canadian. So extra points.
You don't need the points, right? Okay, yeah. It depends, actually. Again, उसमें ये होता है कि basically then you will apply and then your spouse, like, you both can apply, for instance. But let's just say, for instance, like you have an undergrad right now, you don't have a master's, but you're getting married and your spouse or your wife has a master's degree. Then if you apply together, then obviously her master's points count as well. Then you can increase your points. Or what you can alternatively do is make her the principal applicant, and तुम as an addition उसके साथ apply करो, because her chances of getting it is higher because she'll have more points because she has a master's. You get it? So in a nutshell, I guess point उसमें फर्क तभी पड़ता है जब if your spouse has a postgrad degree, तो points increase होते हैं.
Okay.
She's an undergrad, you're an undergrad, same level of experience, same level, नहीं increase नहीं होते.
Oh, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि if you apply together, so suddenly the points will increase. There has to be.
Depends कि एक बंदे का अगर प्रोफाइल स्ट्रॉन्गर है या उसके पास मास्टर्स है, उसके IELTS ज्यादा है या वर्क एक्सपीरियंस ज्यादा है, उसके पॉइंट्स ज्यादा है, तो फर्क पड़ता है. अगर तुम लोग सारे दोनों सेम लेवल पे हो तो अप्लाई साथ में करने से फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
So the plan is to get married to someone who has done masters.
ये हो सकता है. मुझसे अच्छा मास्टर्स कर लो यार खुद ही.
या खुद कर लो. Yeah, that's a better option actually.
Easier one.
Easier one. Okay, so what is the total cost of the entire process? So from, like you mentioned, IELTS का I think $200 होता है, फिर equivalency का होता है, फिर I don't know. Like, if, for example, if I start right now and to the point I land over there, so what do you think are the major costs that a person needs to think कि यार ये मेरे पास होना चाहिए, तभी ये हो सकता है?
I think IELTS का कितना है आजकल? The process.
$200 to $220, I think.
Okay, 220. You're talking about US, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 220 वो हो गए. उसके अलावा फिर then you will have to. I'm just thinking through my process. IELTS हो गया definitely. Then application fee तो है immigration के लिए. When you eventually apply for your PR, that's about, I think, and so 1,200 Canadian, so 1,000 US कर लो.
1,000 US.
1,000 US. ये हो गए 200 IELTS के हो गए 1,200.
Equivalency के हो गए.
Equivalency के 200 डाल दो, like US, that's 1,400. And then HEC equivalencies, this that, like उसके भी कोई, I would say $50. So
$50.
Around about $1,500 US. The entire process.
Okay, so no, but when you first apply, when एक तो शुरू में draw में जाता है ना, like you apply online.
You don't need to pay anything. The only thing at that point, जब तक तुम basically, let's just say मैं अभी कल decide करता हूँ कि यार PR के लिए apply करना है. So I don't need to pay. For example, the only thing I need at that point is like IELTS के लिए पैसे चाहिए और equivalency के लिए पैसे चाहिए. उस point पे, when I decided I want to make my profile, I need $400 US.
Okay.
To be able to apply. So yeah, वो सब कुछ हो गया, उसके बाद जो बाकी के $1000 जो मुझे चाहिए
Once you
होंगे,
get the invite, उसके
that's
बाद
about like 8 months के बाद you get the invite. No, invite आएगी to apply, right? So that's when you putting together your application, work experiences, सारे जो detail आगे पीछे, we'll get into that. उसका I think जैसे से तुमने प्रोफाइल डाल दी, अगले महीने तुम्हें इनवाइट आ गई, then you have 2 months from there on to apply. तो उसके फिर तकरीबन almost 4 एक महीने बाद तुम you will be applying for the final like your application. That's when you need the $1,000 fee.
Okay, so जो first application है, that is for the draw, and there are chances कि आपको जवाब ना आए if you don't meet the cut,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So your $1,000 doesn't go to waste. Like you will only be asked to pay for the application when they've invited you. Then you
Yeah,
pay.
exactly. And not even when they have invited you. Only when you decide to use that invitation to apply.
Okay.
जब भी invitation आई तब भी कुछ नहीं देना. जैसे से मुझे invite आ गई एक दफा, and I can just decide कि यार मेरे पास time नहीं अभी, हमें whatever, I'm busy with work or whatever, so I'm just gonna not use this invitation profile, because every time you don't accept it, your profile keeps like going recycles in the pool. हर दूसरे pool में आप उसमें draw में वो जाती जाएगी. like जैसे इस बार तेरा नहीं आया, अगले pool में शायद आ जाए cut off. So your application, once you make it, it stays in the pool for 1 year. अगर उस एक साल के अंदर आपको invite नहीं आया ना, then you have to make another application.
Another application.
Yeah. So you don't have to pay anything. You just make another application. ताकि वो अगले साल के लिए renew हो जाएगा basically. Think of that as like renewing your license or something.
Okay.
Simple.
So in a nutshell, so people who haven't applied at all, या उन्होंने कभी website visit नहीं की, so it's like an online, it's like university की कोई application भर रहे होते हैं, like you put in your details, and then there is या job की application होती है ना, तो वो save होके एक जगह इकट्ठा हो गया, and then they do their draws. तो आपके ना एक points बन रहे होंगे, let's say आपके 440 बन गए, and then they'll do their draws, और उनका minimum एक cut off होगा. तो इस साल let's say 450 है, या दूसरे महीने शायद 460, and if you are in that draw, they will invite you. Okay, now you apply, and if you accept that, then you pay $1,000. Otherwise, आप IELTS और ये अपने $400-500 जो आपकी cost आएगी, उसके अलावा नहीं. Okay, that's good. And after that, $1,000 कर लिया, and then you submit the application, and then let's say they give you the final go ahead. Okay, we have accepted. Now you can move. So उसके बाद फिर cost further.
You mean like आपका उसको कहते हैं confirmation of
Confirmation.
of ठीक है. Basically जब तुम्हारा residency आ गई तुम्हारे पास, that's what you mean, right? It's a visa, it's a short-term visa they call it. उसके बाद then basically like when you move here, okay, yeah, true. Obviously your flight ticket, that's going to be about like
1,000.
one-way trip, $1,000 for sure. Depending on where you're moving, Vancouver slightly flights are a little bit more expensive. Toronto key, like if you're flexible, whenever you want to go, you can find cheaper tickets. But I would say keep about $1,000 buffer hoga. Then you'll come, and aajkal Corona times, then you will have to quarantine for 2 weeks, which hopefully when some of you come won't have to. But if you do come, okay, I think for the foreseeable future, I don't see anything's changing. So you'll have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So before you come in, either if you have family, like you need to find a place basically before even when you come in. So either some of my friends, they've recently who come in, they just basically book an Airbnb for 2 weeks. You can do that, and which obviously the cost really depends on what you book. Just go onto Airbnb and you can get an apartment or a room. Usme basically quarantine ke liye na aapko, you need to set that up before you come in, because when you land on the airport, us airport pe they will ask you for an address ki aap kahan ja rahe ho, and they'll note it down, because airport pe hota ye ki you will show your document jo ki confirmation of jo PR hota hai. It's like a long 1-page letter. You give it to them. They put your address on it, क्योंकि आपका जो PR card होता है, जो permanent residency card आता है, they send that card to you within 2 months to that address. So you need to have the address ready. अगर address नहीं हुआ, तो which is fine, then you have to like बाद में उनको address लेके mail करना होगा, then that will just slow down your process of your cards. So वो चीज़ होती है. So these are the things you need it for. Basically 2 हफ्ते के लिए तुम्हें Airbnb book कराना होगा. Uske baad, then obviously in terms of accommodation, you can find stuff for like starting from like decent accommodations. I think agar aapne room lena hai, 700 to 800 Canadian dollars. But obviously you won't be like in a downtown location. Thoda aapko bahar jana hoga, but and then you need to just like strategically decide where you want to live, because जहाँ पे थोड़े trains या buses जा रही हो, so you can have access to the nearest like train station, उस तरह की जगह research करके. So I recommend doing that, all these things before you come in. So like यहाँ पे I get stressed now, and before you come in, there's so many people already like from the country who moved here. So always get in touch with people who are already here. They will be able to help you out. So those are the kind of things, and yeah. I think once you're here, like, you know, I mean, a lot of things are tough in the beginning for our friends who I talk to. I mean, it's a process. लेकिन वो हो जाता है एक दफा. Once you're here, like, you don't have an option but to do it, so you'll learn how to do it.
Okay.
So technically, in that sense, but you know, Umar, like you said, the cost. This is like kind of like the cost, which really depends on person to person. Depends on family है, like खुद से करना है सब कुछ, rent वगैरह. लेकिन आपको account में, like, you know, when you apply for application, you need to have a minimum of, I think, $12,900. You need to show that needs to be in your account.
Canadian dollars.
Canadian dollars, yeah. The reason they do it is because for these reasons. They want to ensure that when you come in, you initially have the funds to sustain yourself before you can get a job, and like, you know, stand on your foot.
Okay. So when you accept it, you need to show around 10,000 12,900 Canadian dollars
Yeah.
in your account. That is blocked, and once you move there, then you use it. ऐसा ही होता है.
Yeah. I didn't actually bring the money. I just you don't need to bring the entire money with you. You just need to have it, like, you know, and never travel with cash, like, you know, airports pay like even $10,000. It's a bad idea. They ask you, and the maximum is $10,000. You can't really travel with that money anyway. But वो application का एक process है, Umar, like one of the documents bank statement submit करनी होती है ना, उसमें बस दिखाना होता है. You don't need to lock your money in there. वो उस टाइम पे दिखाना होता है.
I got it. जब आपने दिखाना है कि you have funds.
Yeah, दिखाने के लिए that you have funds. मेरे एक दो दोस्त हैं जिन्होंने किया था, उसने तो statement भी नहीं दिखाई थी. For instance, like he just showed like the closing statement, which is like a certificate, जिसमें बैंक बताता है कि हाँ इस दिन इस closing पे इसके account में इतने पैसे थे. उसमें कुछ पता नहीं होता कि वो पैसे पिछले दिन आए थे या 2 घंटे पहले आए थे. Like, you know, they just दिखाया. Like, he got away with it. But then what he did was like he showed a lot more money. He borrowed from his parents, and then obviously पैसे दिखाए, वो किया. I just tried to play it safe, and I just kept the money just in case. I thought, you know, what if they call the bank during when they are like, you know, scrutinizing my papers and be like, इस बंदे के account में अभी भी पैसे हैं. But then I realized obviously the banks won't give that kind of information to embassies anyway. So I think it's safe to say कि before you're applying, I think 6 months में थोड़ी activity होनी चाहिए before you have like a big payment of 15 lakh from somebody randomly एक दिन.
Okay.
So just basically, you want to try. The rule of thumb here is that you want to try any red flags, like, you know, if you're struggling with that. But, you know, for people who will have to put together the money, and I know a lot of people do. So just don't create any red flags by, let's just say, account में usually आपके 1, 2, 3 लाख होते हैं, एक दिन 15 लाख की मतलब वो आ रही है, and then you're submitting the whole bank statement. So that kind of raises the red flag. So if you are going to do that, just submit this is the certificate. उसमें सर्टिफिकेट में ही होगा, वर्स्ट केस सिनेरियो ये होगा कि जब वो आपका प्रॉपर एप्लीकेशन देख रहे होंगे, they will ask you कि यार can you send us, मुझे एक रिक्वेस्ट लेटर आई थी by the way, additional request कहते हैं जिसको, when they will ask you कि okay we need to see the actual bank statement, then you can submit the actual bank statement. So you will still have a chance. I think I hope that clarifies it, Umar.
Yeah. Okay. So that's around application के शुरू में 400 and then $1,000 for the application for the immigration application, and then around 13,000 Canadian dollars in your bank account that you have to show. Not necessarily you have to use it or show it at the airport, but वो आप किससे लेके भी अपने account में डाल के in the period of 6 months थोड़ा statement maintain करके. And then once you reach there, for 2 हफ्ते के लिए आपके accommodation के expenses, Airbnb, until you find a job or until you find.
I think मैं कहूँगा कि ना 2 महीने का buffer लेके आओ. So just bring enough money, for instance, to say कि 2 months I need to be on my own without like any outside income यहाँ पे आके. So if you do that, hopefully you'll find a job in a month. Like, you know, like you will find a job right away, like, you know, to sustain yourself. Albeit, I don't know, with the pandemic, it's a bit tricky because there's not a lot of like, you know, those random jobs you can do to just earn money because वो कम हो गई है. Because there's staff कम है, shops में लोग नहीं है, grocery stores में staff half हो गई है, hotels में job half हो गई है, restaurants में table serve नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि 50% capacity पे हैं. So that kind of stuff. अभी chances कम है उस तरह की job में. So right now, I guess you need to be a little bit more careful. लेकिन job situation का फिर tricky है. Depends on your degree, background. कुछ degrees के लिए jobs एकदम मिल जाएंगी, कुछ के लिए नहीं मिलेंगी. So that's like a
Yeah.
completely different story.
Okay, that's something that brings me to the next question. What's the job scene over there in Canada? So that's the favorite question for people. Job मिल जाएगी, job मिल जाएगी. And मैं उन्हें बोलता हूँ, मुझसे पूछते हैं, मैं कहा यार मैं तो गया नहीं हूँ कैनेडा, बट जॉब का वही होता है, हर जगह एक ही सिंपल रूल होता है कि यार आपकी लक भी होती है, एंड इफ द कंपनी नीड्स योर स्किल्स तो यू विल डेफिनेटली मैच.
Umar, job ka to, like, I think you're an expert in this. Like, there's no, like, I think easy answer to this. Job ka kya scene hai? It really depends on person to person.
Yeah.
You know, obviously work experience, but also in terms of how they apply, how is their resume, how presentable they are, how good they are in searching the jobs, finding for the relevant jobs. A lot of that stuff matters. Mostly, I think Ontario, like Toronto, obviously there's more jobs there, for sure. Vancouver is more like up and coming, like tech sector. यहाँ पे tech sector काफी booming है. If you're in the tech sector, there's jobs here. But if you're in like generally in all other sections, like in mostly जो है hub जो है Toronto area में, and I think most people just move there because of that. So far what I've noticed is like जो लोग शुरू में आते हैं, people who found jobs easily or like sooner, like within a month, अपना network use करते हैं already. University का होगा या people they already know, like they already get in touch with them. So it's easier to find jobs when you already know people working in companies because they'll like point you in the right direction. तो वो काम थोड़ा आसान हो जाता है. और यहाँ पे एक और चीज़ ये होगी कि जो मैंने सुनी है कि बोलेंगे कि Canadian work experience नहीं है. That's just like another, personally I think there another way of saying कि पैसे कम देने की एक बहाना है. Like आपके पास Canadian experience नहीं है, so we're gonna put you like an assistant whatever role for एक साल, उसके बाद आप आओगे, they move up in life.
Yeah.
So you have to account कि if you're like a manager there, यहाँ पे आके आपको right away nobody's gonna hire you as a manager right away. So you have to be realistic about that. लेकिन again job का ये है कि jobs मिल जाएंगी. You just have to like really plan it. Like you can't just like spray and pray. CV हर जगह फेंक रहे हो like rosie.com में, इस तरह करके नहीं होगी. So the more work you put in, it's a lot. Think of this as like another like it's a lot of work applying for jobs. If you're seriously looking for jobs, so if you take it seriously and you start doing your research before you come in, and I recommend to a lot of people who एकदम से PR मिल जाता है ना, बस it's like भागने हैं, Canada भाग जाते हैं. यहाँ के there's like shit, like job नहीं है अभी, क्या करें? Like they freak out. So I would recommend like even when you get your invitation and when you apply for your PR, like the job final application submit करोगे, जब आप wait कर रहे होते हो decision का, start doing research at that point. Start looking for opportunities. LinkedIn में network करो, get in touch with Umar, he'll push your CVs. And
मैंने कनाडा के बहुत HR वाले ऐड किए हैं just in
yeah, help
case
the community, man.
एक दिन काम है.
Exactly. So yeah, like I said, jobs मिल जाएंगी. There obviously with the pandemic things have changed a lot a bit. The only a lot जो jobs बहुत ज़्यादा हैं वो sales की jobs अभी भी बहुत हैं. But then sales means like actually
On ground.
ग्राउंड सेल भी नहीं, like उमर like टेक में for example sales में mostly jobs होती हैं marketing companies में या tech companies में या pharmaceuticals में या telecoms में. Sales is basically like clients को reach out करना, नए clients लाना. And I know for a fact कि हमारे वहाँ पे लोग ज़्यादा उस तरह के hands on sales experience नहीं है. They mostly like sales, they work in sales in terms of like working for MNCs या Shan Foods and stuff, where like it's more about trade stuff. They deal with just the retailers. I mean like hardcore sales, like pitching to clients, bringing in clients.
Oh.
It's a bit more tricky if you have that. अभी मेरा जो experience है, मैं जो देख रहा हूँ, because a lot of businesses they need new clients. Nobody wants to hire new people because लोगों के पास काम नहीं है ना. अब they are hiring people so they can get more business. So if you want to work in sales and if you have sales experience, there's still jobs. अगर आप IT sector में हो तो मिल जाएगी. Accountants हो, like जो professionals है. Umar and I, like Umar is a professional now. I was more of a generalist. Like, I was still figuring out what I want to do, so it was a bit more tricky for me. लेकिन आपके पास अगर specialized degree, आपने ACCA किया हुआ है, accounts किया हुआ है, finance किया हो, तो आपको still like banks वगैरह में इस तरह jobs मिल जाएंगी. But you just have to be, again, like जैसे आपने express entry में you put your application, you like went ahead of a lot of other people. Job का भी यही scene है. You have to put in a good application, CV वगैरह अपनी सही रखो, interviews में like practice for interviews, do well, be presentable, that kind of stuff.
Okay. So you would say, if I'm like the same methods that we use to apply for jobs in Pakistan, they apply over there as well. The difference is, like obviously यहाँ पे भी वही हम करते हैं, research करते हैं, लोगों के पीछे भागते हैं, apply करते हैं, we try to be presentable in the interviews, we make our resumes according to how the companies, what the JD is asking.
Yeah.
So that's the same almost over there in Canada.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. And यहाँ पे भी है, I think like Glassdoor and Indeed.com. Indeed पे बहुत, like everybody applies through Indeed. It's
Okay.
called I can type it.
Yeah,
Can I type
indeed.
it for you? Yeah,
Indeed, WD.
yeah, Indeed.com. People can, before even they come in, they can start looking for jobs in their sector. Like search कर लो, notification email आती जाएंगे कि कौन सी relevant jobs हैं वहाँ पे. So you get to at least know कि okay, this is the position, और इस position की requirements ये दिखा रहा है Canada में. So that means कि if you have gaps, for example, like because you still have 6 months, अभी आपने apply किया होगा, you can still fill those gaps. और आप कोई certification करना online. Now everybody has access to Coursera and all these things. Whatever gaps you have, you feel like that might help you in like expediting your getting a job process. Just do another certification online, or you know what I mean. Do another course that might boost your resume in that sense.
But like you mentioned, there's one thing that people need to keep in mind कि if they're working as manager or GM or director over here, director तो खैर age भी ज़्यादा हो गई. If you're talking about age bracket of 24 till 34, 35, तो आप managers की या assistant managers की बात कर रहे हो. ज़्यादा शायद कुछ GMs की बात करो. So they need to keep in mind कि it's not going to be the same in Canada. Like there's a possibility that you have to start from the bottom and then you have to work your way up. हो सकता है आपकी जल्दी प्रमोशन हो जाए because obviously you have experience, आपकी skills हैं, आपका एक वो है, but ऐसा नहीं है कि आप वहाँ पहुँचते ही आपको बोलेंगे अच्छा यार आप पाकिस्तान में मैनेजर थे तो यहाँ भी मैनेजर हो.
Nope, it's always like it's typical, right? I mean, like you know how like a typical example is when you're in university, हर कोई बाहर से आके एकदम से आप उसको सर पे तो नहीं चढ़ाओगे, no matter where he is from. आप वहाँ पाकिस्तान बैठ के यहाँ से आ रहे हो, the people you can't just gonna like put them on a pedestal. So the idea is basically to get in. Once you're in, right, and if you have the skills and आपको पता है कि यार corporate environment में या जिस environment में आप यहाँ पे घुसोगे ऊपर कैसे जाना है, those things are the same. It's always about your interpersonals and your performance, and you can always get there faster. And what I've realized is like I think हमारे लोग जब यहाँ आते हैं, like it's मुश्किल है घुस जाना. एक दफा घुस गए उसके बाद like I mean like you know the work, right? Because you're a manager there, यहाँ पे तुम एक नीचे level की job कर रहे हो. So the chances for like you're gonna go up fast. It's just that just get in. So you know for a time के लिए you just gotta like be okay with stepping down for a bit, but then because then when you go up, you're gonna go up faster.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last thing that I want to ask before we go to the questions is how is life in Canada overall? Like what do people need to keep in mind when they're moving? Is it like, for example, this weather there? What is the social scene over there? बहुत लोग बोलते हैं यार हम पता नहीं हम सेट हो पाएंगे या नहीं हो पाएंगे. So like what are the things that people need to keep in mind?
Life in Canada, like given the 2020 and the US and what you're seeing in the world, I think Canada is a lot more peaceful, a lot more easier to handle. People are nicer in general. Like you get obviously हर जगह वो one off उस तरह के लोग आपको मिल जाएंगे, लेकिन as a general rule of thumb, people are really nice here, and you will get along, and they're very friendly and they're very welcoming. So that's a good thing that I've noticed so far about Canada. In terms of the weather, Umar, it matters आप कहाँ move करते हो. I guess it makes sense more to talk about Ontario क्योंकि most लोग Toronto ही move करते हैं. Obviously सर्दी तो है, 8 महीने की सर्दी आपको बर्दाश्त करनी है. And one of the things, one of my friends, he moved actually before me. मेरे आने से पहले he moved there. We used to work back in Islamabad together. He shopped a lot of winter clothes. उसने शॉपिंग की ज़्यादा से कहा ठंड है बहुत वहाँ पे. I think he was moving in September में आ रहा था, तो अभी सर्दियाँ शुरू हो रही थी. And he moved there, and then I think we were speaking to him when he was visiting recently. He said, man, he had to throw every one of those clothing away in like a month. कहता पाकिस्तान की सर्दी की शॉपिंग कनाडा में काम नहीं करती. It's like one advice I have to people who want to move to Canada is do not shop in Pakistan for Canada. Because it's like a different level of cold here. You can find easily really good deals here, so I would recommend like just get used to the cold and come here and then shop for the weather. Do not shop in Pakistan thinking like, oh, I'll get like big jackets here for like a lot cheaper and then they'll work in Canada. They probably won't. At least that's what my friend thought, like, so he had to throw everything out and just had to do all of his shopping all over again. So it really depends. तो ये सीन है वहाँ पे, अगर जैसे वैंकूवर उस साइड पे, ईस्ट कोस्ट पे जाओगे, which is like टोरंटो वगैरह, Ontario area, सर्दी बहुत होती है, so you have to kind of be okay with that. It snows a lot winters. गर्मियों में गर्मी ज़्यादा होती है, so that kind of life. But it's more happening, I think, in downtown area. That's like the hub of Canada in that sense. Vancouver side is the west coast. Weather over here is mild. यहाँ पे बर्फबारी नहीं होती, बारिश होती है सिर्फ winters में. So it rains a lot. Summers में it's very pleasant, and over here it's like you have the mountains, the sea, and the sea. यहाँ पे पहाड़ भी, winters में लोग यहाँ पे skiing करते हैं. Summers में it's like water sports. So it gives you a lot of, if you're especially an outdoors person, there's so much stuff to do here. So in that sense, like, you will never get bored. Like, you don't need to like, this is especially Vancouver is an area where people come to like settle in this sense, because you can practically retire here. So that idea that pata nahi Canada mein settle ho payenge nahi, I don't think that really applies here, because there's so much to do on your own that you will never get bored. There's so much scenery, nature, a lot of things to do throughout the year. You never run out of things to do, and there's something for everyone, I believe.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Aziz. I think ये काफी clarify करता है about a lot of things, but again there are some technicalities, लोगों को issues जो भी हों. So I think you guys can add Aziz on LinkedIn. I think that's the right.
Yeah, I think I haven't used my LinkedIn in the past week, but I will definitely. Yeah, please. You guys can add me, and if you have any questions that I can help you out with, I will respond to you, but I don't promise I'll respond to you right away if there's a lot of them. But I'll definitely help you out in any way I can.
But there are some questions over here, so I think एक एक करके लेते हैं. So Hauziko is like, sir, I'm pursuing MS Data Science from Frost University, Lahore. I intend to work as a data. I think it's answer. Oh, the other.
Okay.
So I have a family. How can I move along with the family? Okay, so that's an additional goal. MS
Okay.
Data Science plus family.
Yeah. So basically, you will be applying as a principal applicant, and then then you will apply. Family will be as dependents. So आपको उनको as a dependent show करना होगा. उसमें बस फर्क ये होता है कि I think points का फर्क नहीं आता, because invitation आपको ही आएगी, and you will be the principal applicant. Think of this as like, मैं apply कर रहा हूँ as an individual, लेकिन मैं अपने साथ family को भी ले जा रहा हूँ. So उनकी application is like more paperwork for you, but the process is almost similar. They will be as dependents, your spouse, your kids if you have. But उसका फर्क I think so far ये होता है कि for each additional family member as dependents, if they're like your kids or your spouse only. You can't bring your parents, by the way, sponsored, if you're thinking. Just so you know. I think कोई $3,000 additional dollars दिखाने होते हैं as proof of funds for each individual family member. Or application fee maybe I think कोई $250 additional dollars होते हैं for each person who's applying with the principal applicant. So you can apply as a family if it's your wife and your kids only.
Not parents.
Not parents or siblings or anybody else. Yeah.
Okay. So Isha, can I change my field for masters in Canada? If yes, then how? Also, can it have any effect on PR? So I think Isha, you want to do your masters in Canada, which you can. Uska I think PR se probably she means after my PR, can I do my masters in Canada? I don't think PR pe masters ki degree or
question. I don't think I understand the question. If the question is if she can do a master's after she comes here in PR, like she can do it. It doesn't have any impact on her PR. Once you get your PR, you can do anything. So it doesn't have an impact. Also, आपका master's किसी भी field में हो, it doesn't make a difference as long as it's equivalent to a master's degree here in Canada. So if you already have a master's, based on that, you can come to Canada. You can do another master's. That doesn't affect your PR. If that is indeed your question.
Yeah, I'm just checking. Kabir, what if somebody has done certification like ACCA or CA Pakistan?
It's simple. उसका भी same process है. IQAS के through आपको उसकी equivalency निकलवानी पड़ती है. and then there.
ACC I think 4 year degree तो नहीं मिलेगी. I don't know.
I think it's equal to, I think मिल जाती है उमर, from what I
हाँ.
know. Yeah. So you just apply because it's a certified accountancy degree it's from the UK, right? So they will have to get their transcripts from there sent directly to the equivalency agency, either IQS or WES.
If I was asking, did he get an invitation before he was able to get a job offer? Did he start looking for a job later? Yes, I think first
Yeah,
you got the PR,
I got
right?
it. I got it before the job offer. Because अगर आपके पास job offer आ गई, तो that's practically means like you have another 200 to 600 points. You know, and job offer is not going to be very easy because the whole. But if you have the job offer, like, you know, you can come here without the PR and come here and apply as a Canadian Express entry. So no, to answer your question, I did not have a job. I looked for a job after I got my PR.
Okay, there's something interesting. Someone from Palestine has joined in. What's the type of visa is it available for Palestinians? I think it's the same globally, right? Express
I
entry.
think, yeah, Express entry is same for everyone. Like that's the thing with the Express entry. It's not specific to like a country like Pakistan or Sri Lanka or any other country. A lot of people, like you'll see if you go on forums, like a lot of people from Europe, for example, they apply for Express entry. And a lot of people who I know here, I play football with them, they are in the process of applying for that. And they're just from like Italy here and there. They're doing like odd jobs, but they're trying to get their PR. So it's not just limited to Pakistan. The process is same for everyone, pretty much.
So Mars asking IELTS academic or general? We mentioned it's the general one, not the academic.
Yeah.
I think people are a bit confused about the scoring. IELTS के क्या score लाना? Higher band में ही लाने हैं सारे. I think that's the.
Yeah,
That's
5.5. I think just to get admissions, I think she may be right. 5.5 chahiye hota. I think 6 is like a requirement, but 5.5 is required. But it's below the required number for the PR. But yeah, for master's degree, I think you can.
So Shafe, you saying please guide step by step. हमने अभी 45 minutes किया है session, तो उसमें पूरा step by step है. आप आराम से like after the session, just go through it. If you have any questions, फिर आप LinkedIn में पूछ लीजिएगा. वैसे होने नहीं होंगे because it's pretty straightforward. Basically, the best thing is कि it's like a job application online. So you have to fill everything online. बाकी उसमें क्या क्या चीजें होती हैं, what are the tricks?
Basically, my advice to this, Shafe, might want to start basically as a first step. You can obviously watch this session again. We discussed all of that, and then just start with your IELTS, and you're getting your degrees certified from either IQAS or WES. So start there, and then I think you should have, as long as आपके IELTS score सही आ जाए with a 3-year experience, with a decent IELTS course, I think you have a good chance. So good luck.
और आपको अगर शाफी वो वेबसाइट ढूंढनी है तो just write on Google Express Entry Canada and you'll get
CIC. It's called CIC.ca.
Yeah, if
CIC.ca. Yeah, that's the official website. Start there.
Safi is saying how you prepare for IELTS, what the books read, what are the books that you read and you practice for writing or listening. Which book did you use, Aziz?
I think मैंने ऑनलाइन सर्च करके कोई ना मैंने निकाली थी, लेकिन मेरे पास आई थिंक बैरेंस की कोई पड़ी थी यार. ऑनेस्टली मैंने एक टेस्ट किया था, इसीलिए मेरा स्कोर इतना ज़्यादा नहीं आया था आई थिंक. बट you can use Barron's or I think क्या कहते हैं, British Council भी अपने books release करता है. But I think just get a Barron's one. Barron's is cheaper and they have like 8 different tests in it. Just get a Barron's one, start practicing it. वहाँ पे writing samples उन्होंने दिखाए होंगे कि they give you like similar topics every year. आपको एक pattern follow करना होता है. If you follow that pattern, like in terms of how do you start the essay, how do you start every paragraph, and how do you end it. So if you get the structure right, mostly, let's just say if you struggle with English, but if you get those structures right, you still have a chance of getting like maximizing your score. So I would suggest start with a Barron's book. And for listening, practice from the IELTS books, listening wise, because just watching the movies is not going to help you, because when we're watching movies, we're passively listening to the movies. But in IELTS में सबसे पहला section ही listening होता है, Umar, you know. And for me personally, that's the most stressful. Not because I don't understand it, because वो ऑडियो चल रही होती है और नीचे आपको साथ साथ आंसर्स करने होते हैं. The audio does not stop until the end of the listening section. So you have to practice yourself, like, attention span आपको अपना बढ़ाना होता है. Because those listenings, I mean, tapes are really boring, और वो कोई random चीजें होंगी उसमें. Or like it's easier to get distracted, and it happened to me. I got distracted for maybe like 2 seconds and I had missed already like 3 questions.
Same.
It's like क्या बोला था, and you're like, oh shit, like चला गया वो, तो अभी आगे focus करो, right? So you don't want to do that. So it just takes not a lot of practice, but if you're good at it, that's good for you. But if you're not, then you can do a lot of practice and get better at it. So I would say, just for listening, practice using the IELTS practice exams to do the listening practice.
Mariam, Assalamu alaikum. My husband is masters in computer networking. We are trying to move to Canada. Kindly give me full guidance.
Omar, you want to take that? I think we pretty much covered that in the whole session.
Yeah. So I think Mariam, एक हमने section पे discuss किया था कि so if you're having a spouse does not necessarily mean कि आपके points बढ़ जाएंगे. It will only increase your points if your spouse has done an additional qualification or has better score or something. मतलब वरना अगर दोनों ने same degree भी की हुई है, same score है, so उस पे points फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. So
I think what she's trying to say is her husband has a master's degree, right? So he can apply as a principal applicant as if like like जैसे कोई भी individual apply करता है, and then he will have his family, like you guys, as dependents, and then you make an application. उसके लिए जो process है वो similar to as an individual, which we discussed it throughout the session. आपको husband को, if he's a principal applicant, your husband will have to take the IELTS exam. अपनी जो मास्टर्स डिग्री है उसको सर्टिफाई कराना होगा कनाडा से, and then you make a profile online on the website, CIC की website पे, which is called an express entry profile. So that's your start. IELTS देना है, डिग्री सर्टिफाई करानी है, प्रोफाइल बनानी है.
So Aziz, एक याद है मैं लम्स में फॉर्मेट मिला था CV का, which I still follow because वो बहुत सिंपल सा था.
Yeah.
So like if I move to Canada right now, is there a specific format कि यार अच्छा ये सारे यहाँ पे follow करते हैं? तो
नहीं, यहाँ पे उमर, I've realized इस तरह नहीं है. Like you can follow like
whatever template you want.
Templates, just follow like a decent template. Like depends on the jobs you apply for. अगर आप creative jobs के लिए apply करोगे, you can get a little bit funky because I've seen people do that. So it really depending on the job, आप format अच्छा, whatever format you think is like nicely can sum up or presentable online, उस पे apply कर सकते हो आप लोग. There's no like set जैसे हम लोग लम्स में करते थे या यूरोप में होता है कि अपनी पिक्चर लगानी होती है रेज्यूमे पे. यहाँ पे वो वाला सीन नहीं है. So it's the same.
Aziz, I've heard that work environment is like you don't get 28 days paid holidays but less. Holidays?
Yeah, I think it's 14 days.
Really?
14 days, yeah. Paid holidays. And then उसके अलावा 7 दिन sick leaves होती हैं, like 7 days national, like holidays, like, that kind of stuff. But yeah.
But working days, like if you're planning to come to Pakistan, so you only have 14 working days.
Technically, yeah. So that means like क्योंकि उसमें 14 working days हो गए ना, तो 2 weeks हो गई. But then
4 weeks हो गया. 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Plus फिर sick भी आप हो जाओगे पाकिस्तान आके 7 दिन.
You can push it to a month, but then obviously one of my friends, he just went back, Hamza, right? I think he was getting married, so I think he was gone for like 2 months. But that's something obviously then, if you're getting married or it's like a life-changing event, like that's, if you've been in the company for a while, that's
you get
story, right? You can tell them like you want to take some time off, then which you can. But it also, like, it's not a hard and fast rule. It really depends on the company as well. But what I've realized so far is हमारे वहाँ पे बहुत छुट्टियाँ होती हैं, यहाँ पे कम है.
हाँ, हमारे यहाँ तो
Pakistan is a lot of holidays, so in that sense. But with the corona, I think for another year, people won't have to worry about this, man, because you're working from home mostly.
Isha Faisal, does a 1-year master have the same value as a 2-year master's in terms of job?
Yeah, it really doesn't make a difference. I don't think so. It depends what's your master's in and where from. There's a senior, the reason I say this is because if you're here in Canada, right, unless the person who is interviewing, if I say like I'm from IBA or LUMS, I really don't think it makes a difference. Like, I as an individual make a difference. They're going to judge me, not because what university, unless I say like I'm like मैंने Harvard से किया या UPenn से किया या like Berkeley से हूँ या or like a university from Canada. Unless that is the case, like unless the person who's interviewing you or the employer is familiar with the university, it does not make a difference in terms of the job where your master's degree is from. Because for people here, when you apply, आप पाकिस्तान से आए हो, simple.
Hello, great session. Thank you, Ravi. My husband has 4-year bachelor's and 5+ years work experience, while I have a 5-year MBBS degree with 1 year experience. So, is it feasible to apply?
Yeah, for both of you guys, just need to give your IELTS, get your degree certified, and then
I
start.
think they still need to get great score in IELTS and get a master's probably, because with this, the bachelor's and work experience
Oh
is for
yeah,
the.
she has an undergrad. Okay, I thought it was a master's. Yeah, because you have 5 years of experience, but it's the same as having 3 years of experience, right? So it's not going to give you more points. So she has a 4-year bachelor's degree. I'm not sure what the equivalence for the MBBS would be. That would be more tricky. In her case, I would recommend her husband maybe does a master's. They apply together because फिर bro उसका ये होगा ना उम्र की MBBS का सीन ये होगा कि यहाँ पे फिर then you have to do medicine, right? तो medicine के लिए licensing and all that that might be a little bit more tricky. जैसे अगर आप architect हो उसके लिए I think यहाँ से कोई अलग सा सीन होता है like lawyers के लिए architects के लिए. So it's simple if you just application में आपको you want to keep it simple like the straightforward scenario को लेके apply करो. So that's your best bet.
Can fresh bachelors move to Canada for jobs? For move to Canada, I think it will be difficult, huh? Fresh bachelors without
Like
master.
in terms of like the ability, you can if you apply for a master's and if you get admission and if you that's one of the ways to do it actually. If you have the ability to do a master's from here, just do it, and because after master's your chances of staying here will be higher to find a job if you do a master's from here, because then you can apply through the Canadian Express entry class. So your chances of a little bit higher. So that's another way you can get in. But personally, I don't think that's like the best way to do it. But that is one way to do it as well. कि आप masters के लिए यहाँ पे आ जाओ, try to find a job. अगर job नहीं भी मिली तो at least you have like Canadian educational experience. I think
उसके points are.
उसके points होंगे, या you can do like a co-op, which means like आपके masters के बीच में you work for 6 months and then you do your masters. So depending on the program. So if you can get somehow hold of some Canadian experience, that will help you.
Okay. So Misha is asking eligibility for express entry. Bachelor's degree.
IELTS, minimum of IELTS 6.5 and above. In each section, you need to have an undergrad degree. That's it.
But Amisha, I'll have to go through the video again because उसपे Aziz ने काफी detail में बताया था, like this technical stuff within this as well. I have 16 years of masters, turning 29 soon. Should I make profile now or get a degree first, then apply at 31 age? I think जब आपका हो जाएगा तभी आप apply करेंगे, because 1 year में वो वैसे ही it won't count, right? Like if you make a profile right now.
16-year masters is basically what I talked about, right? It's basically undergrad, right? 4-year undergrad. Is it?
Sorry?
It's equivalent to a 4-year undergrad, right? That's what it means, I think. 16-year
masters. Oh yeah.
That's what she's trying to say.
Oh sorry, I didn't read that properly.
Yeah.
16-year masters अगर आप equivalency में जाएंगे तो वो probably आपका bachelor's ही count होगा.
Yeah, so better to do like another degree and apply at age 31, that you will increase more chances. But what you can do right now, by the way, is you can still get your like equivalency अपने undergrad के लिए IELTS दे दो, and you can still keep your application online. क्या पता किसी दिन cut off score नीचे 430 पे आ गया.
पहले आया था, 1 साल पहले कुछ था ना 435.
Yeah, 438 पे भी आया हुआ है, 435 पे भी आया हुआ है. So you never know, like basically उम्र ये होता है ऐसा है कि everybody's just in a pool, right? So they pick the top 3500 हर बारी, 3500 pick करते हैं high score वाले, and that's how they determine the cutoff.
I got 8 in IELTS with 10 years of work experience, and in-laws are Canadian citizens currently residing in Winnipeg, working for a non-profit.
Um, if your in-laws are in Canada, then I think, and if they're Canadian citizens, they should be able to sponsor your husband. That means. So I think the best bet is, but depending on your husband's work experience and educational background, if it's similar to yours, he doesn't need to have 10 years of experience. If he has 3 years of experience with like a master's degree, either he can apply or I think he can get sponsored by his parents. So you can there's different options for you guys in this case.
Okay, let's take our last question if you will. Okay, firstly, if we have our relatives in Canada, then what will be the process? They will help in our application.
Um, well, your relatives in Canada,
Delegate.
it depends if they know about the process, they can help you in that way. If you mean like helping in terms of like sponsoring you or anything, your relatives cannot sponsor you. For instance, if I'm here, I can't even sponsor my siblings. You know, unless I'm a citizen, then I can only sponsor my parents, for example. You can't sponsor your siblings. So in that way, they won't be able to help you. They won't increase your points. But if you have a sibling in Canada, and if you apply as an express entry, I think you get another 12 points. Unless they're like your immediate family, like your siblings or your parents, they cannot help you in that way. Yeah, they'll help you like once you move here. Like I said, like it'll be easy. It's nice to have a family here because they'll help you adjust into the Canadian life and like during the process of adjustment. But if you think about it in terms of increasing your points, it does not give you any additional points for having relatives here.
बट उसमें एक सेक्शन होता है ना जब आप फॉर्म भर रहे होते हैं लाइक इफ यू हैव सिबलिंग्स ओवर देयर उससे
सिबलिंग्स का
आप
होता है ना, रिलेटिव्स का तो नहीं होता।
रिलेटिव्स का नहीं
रिलेटिव्स का नहीं है, सिबलिंग्स का होता है। 12 पॉइंट्स मिलते हैं एक्स्ट्रा अगर आपका
ओके
कोई सिबलिंग हो यहाँ पे। आई थिंक इट्स 12 पॉइंट्स। या
okay last question is a sponsorship by parents liable when they have a job or they're earning mine or getting government allowance
non-profit, but she said they're working for non-profit, right? They'll have to look into that because they can, what she can do is like your husband's parents, like they can talk to an immigration lawyer here in Canada and just explore the options of what your options will be to sponsor their son. And I'm sure there will be like multiple ways they can do that. Yeah.
I have a master's in engineering management along with 7.5. What are the chances to be selected for PR? Master's there, 7.5. I think we'll have a good score. I don't know.
But then
Aziz.
what about the work experience?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Given that he has 3 years of work experience, for example, and 7.5, he will be about like 465. You have still like a decent shot. I would recommend like अपनी application डाल दो ऊपर, and you never know ये cutoff scores नीचे कब चले जाएंगे. But if you think you can push your score to an basically 7.5 is good, but if you have an 8 in listening, then you have the second highest band, and in which case अगर आपके 8 listening में है और लेकिन 7.5 overall भी है तो that's fine. The overall 7.5 does not matter as long as you have an 8 in listening and 7.5 in each of the other sections, which means, and given that you have 3 years of experience, आपके I think 475 type points बनेंगे. Then you have a really good shot.
Yeah, he mentioned he has 5 years of experience.
Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, you have a really good shot. Even with that score, I think you will be like around 460 types. So आपके you have a good chance. So you should definitely put your application on the pool.
Okay. But that brings us to the end of the question answer session. Sorry Aziz, मैंने I think आपसे 45 minutes का time लिया था, but it
That's
extended
okay, bro. Anything.
10
I know you're
minutes.
doing a lot of good things, so I thought maybe like
Hey, thank you so much, yaar. This
course.
is going to be helpful for a lot of people, those who are live and those who are going to see later on, because बहुत छोटी छोटी चीजें होती हैं that people don't know, and वही है information at the right time is what matters. So just to sum it up, we discussed the express entry, how to get the Canadian PR and the requirements or the eligibility to get express entry, what is the IELTS score that you should look for and how to prepare for it, how to maximize your points. If you don't have enough points, what are the things that you have to look into, Then we talked about the job scene in Canada. What are the sectors that are booming? What are the cities that you can see to look forward to? For example, Toronto is like mm, Karachi of Canada, like it's the commercial hub. So the maximum number of jobs you'll get in definitely in Toronto. But Vancouver on the western side is has a very different feel, has a very different job sector, has a mostly tech sector working over there. But the feel that I got from Aziz's comments was that IT sector is good over there because it's booming. तो उनकी जॉब्स का आई डोंट थिंक ज़्यादा इशू होगा आई थिंक ग्लोबली आईटी सेक्टर को इतना इशू नहीं होता बिकॉज
Yeah.
हर चीज़ स्टार्टअप्स एंड कंपनीज ऑटोमेटिंग सो डेफिनेटली वो नहीं है But बाकी जो डिफरेंट फाइनेंस वालों को शायद इतना इशू ना हो बट डिफरेंट बट अगेन इट डिपेंड्स ऑन मार्केट अभी जिस तरह वहाँ पे पेंडेमिक चल रहा है सो आई एम श्योर देयर आर लॉट ऑफ जॉब्स दैट आर हैव बीन कट ऑफ.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we talked about how the life is over there, the weather, and where can you move. But eventually, it all depends on you, what type of person you are, what can you adjust to, what can you tolerate, कितने सर्दी आप बर्दाश्त कर सकते हैं वो आपके ऊपर है. And we also talked about the total cost of the entire process. किस वक्त क्या cost की ज़रूरत होगी वहाँ जाते जाते आपको क्या पैसे रखने हैं 2 महीने का बफर रखना है वहाँ पहुँचने के बाद भी until you get a job. ठीक, Aziz, thank you so much once again. B- from all the people, I would like to thank you for taking out time. I think कोई इतनी information 1 घंटे में जो मिल गई है, I think काफ़ी चीज़ें clear हो जाती हैं, and then people can make a decision as well कि हमें क्या करना है.
Mm.
Because बहुत लोग अभी for example my sister she was asking me about this application and she doesn't have information. तो हर जो मैं उसको step बताता हूँ ना उसको यही लगता है यार बस पैसे लगेंगे पता नहीं हो ना हो. And I tell her कि नहीं यार ऐसा नहीं है. It's everything
I
is
see.
online. You have
Exactly.
your degree, you are eligible. तो apply करने में क्या जा रहा है? And it doesn't cost until you get the invitation and then you start applying. So thank you once again. अल्लाह आपको अजर दे इस चीज़ का.
Very welcome, bro. Good to be here. Good to see you finally. This is a good excuse to catch up. We haven't caught up properly in ages.
Yeah, great. I think this is the longest we've talked.
Conversation we over the
We
phone.
met last, I think, 1 year, around a year back in
Yeah.
Karachi. But inshallah, we'll see you soon in Karachi or in Canada
Hopefully in
whenever this
Canada.
pandemic
Hope to see you
ends.
soon, bro.
चले ठीक है. Okay, okay, guys.
Okay.
See you.
Thank you, everyone.